Welcome back to the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint. I'm John Cornish.
And I'm Maya Chen. Welcome back. If you've listened to the first 3 episodes, you've already learned something that many companies never discover. Winning subcontracting opportunities doesn't begin when a solicitation is posted. It begins months, even years earlier.
Exactly. Most businesses spend their mornings searching for new opportunities on SAM.gov. There's nothing wrong with that. But today I'd like to suggest something different. What if I told you the best opportunity for your company isn't the solicitation that's posted today? What if it's the company that won a contract 6 months ago?
That's an interesting way to think about it. Why would yesterday's award matter more than today's solicitation?
Because awards leave clues. Every federal contract tells a story. Who won? Who trusted them? How much funding was provided? How long they'll be performing? Where they'll be performing? And perhaps most importantly, who they're likely to need as subcontractors. That's where we're going today. Let's start with a question. Suppose you're the owner of a logistics company. Would you rather compete against 50 companies for one solicitation, or build a relationship with a company that's already been selected to perform the work?
Most people automatically choose the solicitation because that's what they've been taught.
Exactly. But experienced business developers often think differently. Instead of chasing every opportunity, they study winners, because winners create ecosystems. Large federal contracts aren't performed by one company. They're performed by teams. Those teams include transportation providers, warehouse operators, IT specialists, medical logistics firms, security providers, aircraft operators, engineering companies, professional services firms, regional partners, and hundreds of specialized subcontractors.
So today's lesson isn't about finding contracts. It's about finding the companies that are most likely to need partners.
Exactly. We're going to follow the money because money leaves footprints. Here's today's first executive lesson. Don't begin by searching for work. Begin by searching for companies that have already been trusted with the work. That single change in thinking can completely transform your business development strategy.
So today's episode is less about chasing opportunities and more about positioning your company where opportunities naturally appear.
Exactly. Think of 2 fishing boats. One spends all day chasing schools of fish. The other understands the currents, knows where fish naturally gather, and positions itself before they arrive. Both boats work hard. Only one works strategically. That's what today is about, positioning.
Before we talk about platforms, let's talk about mindset. What is happening inside a prime contractor when they begin looking for additional subcontractors?
Usually one of 4 things. They're pursuing a new opportunity. They're expanding an existing contract. They're replacing an underperforming supplier, or their customer has introduced a new requirement. Notice something. They're not shopping. They're solving a problem. And whenever organizations solve problems, they prioritize confidence. That's why prime contractors prefer suppliers who are already visible. Companies already registered. Companies already researched. Companies already demonstrating professionalism.
So, visibility reduces procurement friction.
Exactly. Every step you complete before you're needed makes it easier for them to say yes when the opportunity arrives. Let's begin with the most important platform, the Supplier Registration Portal. Almost every major federal prime contractor has one. Some call it a supplier portal. Others call it a vendor registration system. Supplier diversity portal. Procurement registration. Business partner registration. The name varies. The purpose does not.
What makes these portals so valuable?
Because they're where procurement organizations expect to find suppliers. Think about it. When a capture manager wins a new contract, one of the first questions becomes, do we already have qualified suppliers in our database? If your company isn't there, you may never be considered. Not because your capabilities aren't relevant, but because you weren't visible at the moment the decision was being made.
So this is about being in the system before you're needed.
Exactly. And here's something most people don't realize. These portals aren't just databases. They're often the first place procurement teams search when a new requirement emerges. Before they post anything publicly, before they reach out to their existing network, they search their own portal first.
That's a powerful insight. So if you're not registered, you're literally invisible to the people making the decisions.
That's correct. And the registration process itself is an opportunity to demonstrate professionalism. A complete, detailed, well-organized profile tells the procurement team something important. This company is prepared. This company takes the process seriously. This company might actually be easy to work with.
Let's talk about what a good registration actually looks like.
Great question. Start with the basics. Company name, address, contact information, NAICS codes, business size, certifications. But don't stop there. Add your capability statement. Upload relevant past performance summaries. Include your differentiators. Explain what makes your company unique. Most companies rush through registration like they're filling out a form at the DMV. The companies that get remembered are the ones that treat it like a capability presentation.
What about the major primes? Can you give listeners some specific examples?
Sure, Lockheed Martin has a supplier registration portal. So does Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, L3 Harris, Boeing, SAIC, Leidos, Booz Allen Hamilton, CACI, Mantech, Parsons, Amentum, KBR, Vectrus, V2X, Peraton. Half of these companies have dedicated small business liaison officers whose entire job is finding qualified small business subcontractors. They want to find you, but you have to make yourself findable.
So the action step here is simple. Identify the top 10 prime contractors in your sector, visit their websites, find their supplier registration portals, and register completely.
Don't just register, create a profile that makes them want to call you.
Let's move to platform 2, SAM.gov. Most listeners have probably heard of it.
They have, and most of them use it to search for active solicitations. That's important, but today I want to show you a different way to use SAM.gov. Instead of searching for opportunities, search for subcontracting plans.
What do you mean by that?
When a large company wins a federal contract above a certain threshold, they're required to submit a subcontracting plan. That plan often identifies the types of small businesses they intend to use. Sometimes it even names specific categories: transportation, warehousing, IT support, medical logistics, security. If you can find those plans, you can identify which primes are actively looking for the exact type of work you do.
So you're essentially reading their playbook before the game starts.
Exactly. And SAM.gov also shows contract award data. You can see which companies are winning, what agencies are buying, how much funding is flowing. That data is a goldmine for anyone doing strategic business development.
How would a listener actually do this?
Start by searching for contract awards in your NAICS code. Look at who won. Then visit those companies' websites. Look for their supplier portals. Look for press releases about the award. Look for any public mention of their small business subcontracting goals. Then register, introduce yourself, and do it professionally.
So SAM.gov becomes a research tool, not just a search engine.
That's the shift in thinking I want our listeners to make. The platform is the same. The way you use it determines whether you find opportunity or just information. Platform 3, LinkedIn. This one surprises people. But LinkedIn is one of the most powerful platforms for subcontractor positioning.
Why does it surprise people?
Because most small businesses think of LinkedIn as a job search tool or a place to post company updates. But prime contractor procurement teams use LinkedIn to research potential partners. They look at company pages. They check leadership profiles. They read content. They look for signs of professionalism, expertise, and credibility.
So, your LinkedIn presence is essentially a digital first impression.
Exactly. And here's what matters. You don't need thousands of followers. You need a professional presence. A company page that clearly states what you do. A capability statement in your featured section. Leadership profiles that reflect your experience. Content that demonstrates your expertise. And activity that shows you're engaged in the industry.
What kind of content would a prime contractor want to see?
Think about it from their perspective. They're evaluating whether your company could be a reliable partner. They want to see that you understand the federal space, that you've performed similar work, that you're professional, that you communicate well, that you're growing. Share industry insights, comment on relevant news, celebrate team achievements, post about certifications or past performance milestones. You don't need to go viral. You need to be visible and credible.
And when a prime contractor's procurement team searches for potential subcontractors, your LinkedIn profile often appears on the first page of results.
That's the reality. Google a company name. LinkedIn is almost always in the top 3 results. That page is doing business development for you, whether you realize it or not. Make sure it's saying what you want it to say.
Platform 4. Industry conferences. Why should a small subcontractor invest in attending conferences?
Because conferences are where relationships become real. Everything we've discussed so far, registration portals, SAM.gov, LinkedIn, those are digital. Conferences are where you shake hands, where you have conversations, where someone puts a face to the name they've seen in their portal or on their feed.
What does a conference look like from the prime contractor's perspective?
They're there for 2 reasons: to find teaming partners and to strengthen existing relationships. Most large primes send their small business liaison officers, their capture managers, and sometimes their program managers to these events. They set up booths, they attend panels, they host receptions, and they're actively looking for small businesses that could strengthen their proposals.
So, when a subcontractor walks up to a prime's booth, what should they say?
Don't start with a pitch. Start with curiosity. Ask about their current priorities. Ask what capabilities they're looking for. Ask about upcoming opportunities. Then, when it's natural, share what your company does and how it might complement their work. The goal isn't to close a deal, it's to start a relationship.
And follow up after the conference.
That's where most people fail. They attend, they collect cards, they have great conversations. Then they go back to the office and do nothing. The follow-up is where the value is created. Send a personalized email within 48 hours. Reference your conversation. Attach your capability statement and suggest a follow-up call. That's how conferences become contracts. Platform 5. SBA Subnet and Dynamic Small Business Search. Subnet is a database where prime contractors post subcontracting opportunities they're trying to fill. It's not as widely used as SAM.gov, but it's specifically designed for subcontracting. If you're not checking it regularly, you may be missing opportunities that were posted with you in mind.
And DSBS?
The Dynamic Small Business Search is where the SBA stores your profile. When agencies or primes search for small businesses with specific capabilities, DSBS is often where they look. Make sure your profile is complete, current, and compelling. It's a free resource that many companies completely ignore. Platform 6. Word of mouth and referrals. This is the most powerful platform and the hardest to engineer. Prime contractors talk to each other. Program managers share recommendations. When someone asks, "Do you know a good logistics company?" the answer usually comes from experience or referral. That's why every interaction matters. Every project you deliver well, every relationship you nurture, every professional impression you create. That's what generates word of mouth.
So, the best marketing strategy is consistently excellent performance.
Exactly. You can't buy a referral, you earn it. There's one more thing I want to mention before we move on. Competitive research. Every platform we've discussed today can also be used for intelligence gathering.
What do you mean?
Visit the LinkedIn pages of your competitors. See what they're posting. Check their company pages for recent updates. Look at what conferences they're attending. Search SAM.gov for contracts they've won. Visit their websites to see how they present their capabilities.
Is that ethical?
It's completely public information, and it's smart. You're not copying, you're learning. Understanding how successful companies position themselves helps you identify gaps in your own strategy. It helps you see what's working in the market, and it often reveals opportunities they're not pursuing.
So, observation, not imitation.
Exactly. Borrow principles. Build your own brand.
Let's recap what we've covered today.
6 platforms. 6 ways to position your company where prime contractors naturally look for partners. Supplier registration portals. SAM.gov. LinkedIn. Industry conferences. SBA Subnet and DSBS. And word of mouth through consistent performance.
Each one works independently. Together, they create a visibility network that dramatically increases your chances of being discovered.
And remember the principle. You're not chasing opportunities. You're positioning yourself so opportunities find you.
That's the shift from reactive to strategic.
And that's exactly where we're headed next. In our upcoming episodes, we'll take everything we've learned about positioning and begin building it into a repeatable business development pipeline.
A system that works whether you're actively looking for contracts or not.
Because the best business development never stops. It just becomes part of how your company operates.
If today's episode helped you see something differently, share it with another business owner who needs to hear this.
And remember, the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint isn't just about information. It's about transformation.
Until next time, keep flying forward.
This is the Federal Subcontractor Blueprint, presented by Atlas One Executive Podcast Network, helping transform executive intelligence into practical business decisions.
这个看法，会不会让你很累？谁都还是在我背后摸一个。